God is a loving parent who is always in search of the disobedient and rebellious children who have separated themselves from him. God will search them out and bring them back and invite all to rejoice when the lost are found. The ideas of searching and finding run through our readings today. St. Paul thought he had found it in his younger life. It was a righteous lifestyle, keeping all the Jewish laws. Yet he found out that the righteous lifestyle was not enough. St. Paul remarks to the Philippians that he thought he had it all when he was a strict Jew. He had been circumcised. He was a lawful member of the Hebrew nation. He was of the tribe of Benjamin. He was a Pharisee. When it comes to keeping the law, he was blameless because he observed the law to its smallest detail. At that time in his life, Paul had persecuted those whom he had seen as losing their way to follow some fanatic named Jesus. And yet, in his rigid practice of Judaism, he was at risk of losing it all. He ends today's reading by saying that what he had formerly thought he had found is actually to be considered as a loss unless there is a relationship with Jesus. In our gospel, Jesus tells us two parables about searching for what was lost and rejoicing when the lost is found. God is always searching for us, even when we are not interested in being found. The Good Shepherd leaves the 99 to search for the lost one. When the lost is found, the shepherd does not scold or punish. He lovingly puts it on his shoulders and carries the lost back to safety. When I was a little boy, 5 or 6 years old, my father had purchased a 1960 Cadillac. It was sky blue, and it had the trademark fins in the back. You remember? My friend from across the street came over to show me his new go-kart. And we were 5 or 6, so it had pedals. There wasn't a motor on it at all. And he was pushing me around in front of my house. The Cadillac was parked in the front of the house. Well, he pushed me right into the caddy. The Cadillac, well, when he pushed me there was this big dent in the car. Boom. I popped out of the Cadillac, out of the go-kart, and I ran that way. That way. We had a long, long block, and I was scared to death. And I just kept on running. And I thought about it this morning, by the way. I didn't zig or zag. I just went straight so he could find me. I was so frightened. My fear was due to my expectation of being scolded, or maybe even worse. Is this how little boys die? Their daddy comes after them and kills them after they dent their car. Well, my dad came after me. Now, I said I went way up the block. Eventually, he got to me. He took me by the hand, and he walked me back home. This parallels our lessons from today's readings. God is always searching for us. God will go to whatever lengths possible to find what he treasures, our relationship with him. Something happens which changes our plans. We have to go searching for what we had taken for granted. our relationship with God. It is in searching that we find out what is really valuable, not physical possessions, but that relationship. My story parallels these parables. Parallels these parables, wow, of the lost being sought out and returned. If we wander out into the strange world beyond our loving, warm, caring environment, we can get into trouble. We may lose our way and not know how to get back. It is then that God will come out in search of us. God will look for us, even though we may be hiding, fearing that God will punish us. When God finds us, or when we let God take a hold of us and bring us home, God will welcome us back and care for us. God is loving. He's a caring searcher who will not give up until the lost are found and brought back safely home.